I've learned very quickly while I'm out here dating is I have to stay in my lane. I have to date in my lane. Steve Harvey has a quote, and I'm paraphrasing here. He says, once my confidence bumped up against your insecurities, now I'm arrogant. Let me flip that a little bit and make it applicable when it comes to dating. Once what I'm accustomed to becomes too much for you to deliver, now I'm a gold digger. Now I'm asking for too much. Now I'm ungrateful. So I've learned that the first sign that something tells me that what I'm used to is going to be a problem, I kind of just back up.
Well, first of all, I want to say this. We're starting to see a great deal of all these different posts, all these different sayings, whether it be these mega church pastors or these popular ministers, and people think about denominations and different religions, so to speak. And I tell people all the time, a great friend in the gospel once told me that a lot of the denominations and the religion and the divide came because people had their favorites. You had some people that just like Peter more than they like John, or Paul more than they like Peter. It's a lot of situations that go about in this life where you're going to see that you're going to have a following. What do they use on social media? Following. You can follow a person. You can subscribe to a person. You can like and share a person's what they have to say, and the things that what you end up starting to prove is that even when you're just sharing someone's thoughts, and it almost seems as if you're parroting them, you're like a parrot that's repeating everything they're saying. You subscribe to them, so you share this post, you share that post, you share this thought, you share that thought. What it is that it's a different way to speed things up than back in the day when you might just buy a person's book or you might just watch people's shows. Now this is a different way to speed things up, and when she said Steve Harvey, it just made me realize just how much these women have still held on to the think like a man, type, archetype or whatever. And when it comes down to it, regardless of how many times this man has been divorced, and I say to people all the time that in this world, when you think about irreconcilable differences or no-fault divorces, people could be divorced for whatever reason possible. And you ain't got to prove who wrong, you ain't got to prove who right, you ain't got to prove none of that. It's just about giving a person what they want so the courts can get a payday off of it. And when it comes down to it, one of the first things that I heard out the gate that felt kind of wrong to me is that she said while she's out here dating is, I'm gonna stay in my lane. Well, I don't subscribe that you be out in them streets dating at all and your father's not included, or a uncle or a grandfather or even a pastor, if you got a singles ministry at your church. But you've got to have a male, you got to have a man guide, you got to have a Christ-like guide, a priest, a covering, a protection, because it's always meant for a woman to be protected. And that's, you guys don't even be knowing when you confess stuff. Like, even if you didn't have your father, you're trying to figure out somebody to walk you down the aisle, because the minister's going to say, who give this woman? And that person's going to have to say, I do. Well, would they be lying? Wouldn't they be lying if they don't know the person, if they've had no input? Because that's what true courtship is. It's the parents being able to help you vet the man. It's specifically the father. And help you make a proper decision, because you got those feelings that you get down in your lower region. You got all these pheromones and different things that can really lapse your judgment. So I'm gonna tell you, I like a lot of the things that she said for the most part out the top of the gate. But then she made a comment about confidence, bumping against insecurity and appearing to be arrogant. Now listen, I had a gentleman once say to me, a family member once say that it is my job to take care of everything that has to do with bills or keeping the lights on and different things like that. But when it comes down to the lifestyle, I've made it clear to my wife, the extra stuff, you're going to have to look at that. You're going to have to tend to that. And it doesn't mean that there's going to be no help that come from me at all. But my main focus is to provide for you and keep the things that are absolutely necessary over your head. Because with the way things are going today, it's nobody's obligations to send you somewhere every freaking month, and we're going to another country, and we're doing this, that, other. you got to build something. You got to sacrifice now so you can play later. And so when you got a man that's being like that and you're calling him cheap, or you're saying he can't do this, that, the other, there's a big difference from that than insecurities or not giving you what you're used to, because whatever you're used to is your happiness. And you make sure you keep that wheel rolling. You make sure you keep a little job or whatever case may be. You keep that ball rolling. But when you're talking about just dating and this, that, the other, we're losing sight of what's necessary and what's to be expected. High expectations from people that are not you, for you, that's a iffy thing there. That's not good. Because whatever you do to keep yourself happy and satisfied and make yourself enjoy life, or whatever the case may be, living your best life, that's on you. And it's been on you. That's why I'm here by myself right now. I do things for myself, and I would never expect a woman to have to step up and give me this extravagant date or anything like that. So if she was, then I would be so much more grateful, because she did not have to do that. Women, you are demanding too much. You are demanding a lot of things that you don't need to demand. And it's not to say that this woman shouldn't expect things, you shouldn't expect things, but when you expect it out of somebody else, that's the problem. It's not the fact that your taste is what it is, because when you taste a 5-star restaurant, you don't want to go to McDonald's. I can't knock this woman for that. But when you start expecting stuff, demanding stuff from other people, and they might not be able to be there, then you know what? I'm going to be real with you. A lot of you stay single because of that. Because some of you were willing to just sit out here and battle other women for 5% or 10% level of men. It's not a whole lot of so-called black men that are rich or six-figure making. It's in the 5 or the 10%, close to 10%. It's not a lot. You guys have got to budge on some stuff.
Y'all want a story time? I was just talking to this gentleman, and he called me up and he was like, there's a bourbon tasting. I would love for you to join me. A couple of people are going. I'd love for you to join me. And I was like, oh, great. I'm not really a bourbon girl. I'd love to. I was like, I'm a tequila girl, so I don't really know how I'm going to react to it. And he was like, well, if you're not careful, it'll go straight to your head. But, I got you. I'll take care of you. We laugh and banter.
Yeah, man. So I'm over here cracking up because this bug over here talking about it going to the head, and they had some back and forth banter. Yeah, I'll tell you what that banter was. That was that sex talk. That was that talk. And see this right here, if he would have played his cards right, he would have got them draws. That's the banter that was going on.
So he's giving me the details on the tasting, and it's quite a ways from my house. Now, he lives on an opposite end, like we live on two opposite ends of the place where we're going to. So I really didn't expect him to pick me up, but I did expect him to send a car. One, because you invited me out, and it's a long way from my house, and we're going to be drinking. But if I'm being honest, I'm used to men offering that anyway. Can you join me for dinner? Should I send you a car? That's what I'm accustomed to.
I'm going to tell you, I guess the thing for me is just this. How many Negroes are you out here dating? How many dates are y'all going on? Who advised y'all? Who taught y'all how to get out here in these streets? Because this is what you're accustomed to. This is what men do, what guys do. I mean, do you want marriage? Are you trying to really have a man? Like, I guess that's really my question, because you just talking like, clearly you're not a prize, because a prize is a possession. I don't know if y'all understand that. But when you attain a trophy, when you attain a prize, it's a possession. It's something that you can be proud about, that you can attain, and you make sure that you hold on to it because it's your favor. How do y'all just, and I'm going to tell you, not too many women are going to be real about how many dudes they done laid around with. But at the end of the day, why are you out here moving like that, where you can say out of your mouth that what you're used to guys doing? When do you get a guy? I just don't get it, but... So
I asked him, I said, so what time is the tasting? Were you going to send me a car? And he was like, send you a car? What's wrong with your car? I was like, okay, let me calm down, because I don't want to be so hasty to just I said, well, you're inviting me out. So, and it's a little ways from my house, and I'll be drinking. You said You expect me to drive drunk? And he was like, you think you're going to get that drunk? You can't hold your lip. He steady finding reasons to say no. No. So I found my reason to say no. So he's still talking through it and brainstorming. Maybe you can come and park here. And I'm not driving no car with no alcohol in my system, especially drinking something that I'm not accustomed to drinking. And for you to be trying to jump through all these hoops instead of saying, yes, sweetheart, let me send you a car to make sure you get home safely to your children or whatever, you know, instead of you doing that, you still playing acrobatics. I said, you know what, thank you so much for thinking of me, but I think I'm gonna have to decline. I don't think this is such a good idea. And he was like, because I won't send you a car? Well, fine, I'll send you a car. I said, no, never mind, you know, because it's not, at this point, it's not about the car. It's about, I'm going to have this tug of war with you should we pursue anything further. The fact that you don't know to do that is a problem for me. And that's going to be a problem for you. So he was like, well, I could have sent you a car. Well, maybe we'll do something else. We will absolutely not do anything else. But what I do hope is when you go back into, but I do hope that when he's out on the dating scene and he meets another young lady that he's interested in and he offers that kind of date, that he also offers her a car. Like, I understand everything ain't common practice, common knowledge, but if I'm explaining to you why it's important, why you should, one, the tasting is at 6 p.m. so it's going to be dark by the time we finish. I'm drinking some liquor that I'm not familiar with and I'm driving 30 miles home. Come on now. But anyway, I stay in my lane.
I'm going to tell you, man, when it all comes down to it, her logic was on point. She was very logical about, with that particular date, if you're going to ask her out, then the biggest thing is to make sure that she's good. Seems like to me, everybody's going to be drinking and you're talking about, she can't. If that's really what happened, if he really came at her like that and questioned her like that, talking about she can't hold her liquor and all this different stuff, nah, bro, man, you got to make sure you get her home and get her to the place safe. You know what I'm saying? First get her out till you safe, then get her home safe, man. I mean, drinking and driving ain't cool, man. It just ain't cool. And that's what the Uber is for. That's what the car is for. Preferably, hopefully, you can have a situation where maybe you guys ride together, man, because you want to make sure this day and time that she's just getting home safely. Because you can't always trust the Uber driver. So, you give her that presence of the security and the protection of a man. As it pertains to like some of the other stuff that she was talking to, listen, if you got children and all that different stuff and the priority is you even getting out at all, sometimes, that's a huge problem because it just points out the fact that people don't have whole homes. They have broken homes. And because they have broken homes, you got more women out in the streets trying to move like this, putting themselves in danger when you could be in a total situation. But you'd rather be in a situation like this, no husband, no covering, not even father around getting his advice, because it puts you in a position to make your own decisions without having to run it past anybody. And that's what they don't want to do. They don't want to run anything past anyone. And when they say things like, well, you ain't my father, you try to be my father. Well, here's the thing. That's where you got it wrong, because real marriage is an exchange between fathers, between your blood father and your spiritual father. That represents the individuals who are supposed to cover and protect you for the rest of your life. You're covered from birth, ma'am. You're protected from birth, ma'am. And those last names that you take, you come into this world and you take your daddy's last name. But when you get to your spiritual father, your husband, who will do all the things daddy did, except he'll be your lover too, this is the one who's going to add value to you and protection to you. And so you're going to be under his name as well. When you buck against that, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. And so this is why you have such confusion in the first place. You shouldn't even have to battle back and forth about what's going this, that, and other. But you out here dating and playing around when dating is trash, man. You need to get married. And if you don't have that in you, then you need to expect what comes with dating, which is a lot of foolishness. That's what comes with dating. So don't be, marveled or anything like that when you hear this, that, and other out in these streets, man, because that's what it comes down to. But your expectations might not be another woman's expectations. He might have a better chance and a better time with another woman, and he might actually count himself blessed to have never been able to go out with you. And the first thing these women will say, well, shoot, that's good. That's good for the both of us. No, it's good for him. You don't never know what you did, what you missed, because you never got the job, man. You never got hired. You had an interview, but you never got the job. And you have to feel good, so you say dumb stuff, but you may have just passed up a good guy. So at the end of the day, I agree with her on the one part about, you asking a woman out to a type of shindig like this, make sure she's good. But in just a regular old situation, you are not obligated to be putting money all over the place for a person who can easily say, we won't have another chance. It won't be another time. That's why you shouldn't be making no type of plans or nothing like that on my money. So, but anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Bad.